In the vast darkness of space, where no law can reach, a routine mission turns into a deadly game of cat and mouse. When ruthless space pirates set their sights on an unsuspecting crew, ordinary astronauts must become extraordinary warriors. With limited resources and split-second decisions, they'll fight not just for survival, but for the fate of humanity's most precious discovery. Can they outsmart the universe's deadliest criminals? Or will their ship become another ghost story in the void? Subscribe now to witness the ultimate space survival thriller. The freighter Galactic drifted through the asteroid belt of Kepler 452, its cargo hold filled with experimental quantum crystals worth more than several Earth nations combined. The six-member crew rotated through their watch schedules, maintaining the illusion of normalcy while the automated systems handled navigation. Captain Ria Marquez occupied the command chair, her eyes scanning the sensor array as she sipped from a thermos of synthetic coffee. The routine seemed unremarkable, precisely what made the subsequent events so shocking. At exactly 3:47 Galactic Standard Time, the proximity alarms shattered the artificial calm, their shrill warning cutting through the ambient hum of the ship's systems. Three unidentified vessels had dropped out of hyperspace formation, their aggressive maneuvering patterns matching known pirate signatures. The ship's silhouettes resembled predator fish from Earth's ancient oceans, all sharp angles and predatory grace. Their hulls bore the scars of countless raids, patched armor plates glinting ominously in the starlight. Through the observation port, Marquez watched the lead vessel extend grappling arms tipped with electromagnetic clamps, its intentions unmistakably hostile. Her mind raced through protocol options, each more grim than the last. Communication channels crackled to life with static-filled threats, demanding immediate surrender and transfer of cargo. The crew gathered at their stations, faces pale but resolute as they prepared for what might be their final stand against the notorious Black Nebula Syndicate. The bridge transformed into a hive of calculated chaos as the crew activated emergency protocols. Engineer Mikhailov worked feverishly at his console, rerouting power from non-essential systems to the ship's defensive arrays while simultaneously initiating a complex series of system overloads designed to confuse enemy sensors. Navigator Patel adjusted their trajectory, weaving between massive asteroids in a desperate attempt to exploit the natural cover while buying precious seconds to implement countermeasures. The pirate vessels closed in, their plasma cannons charging with visible energy surges along their weapon ports. Marquez's fingers danced across her command interface, deploying decoy drones programmed with randomized movement patterns that mimicked the Galactic's signature. The deception bought them crucial moments as one of the pirate ships momentarily locked onto a drone instead. In the engineering bay, Chief Technician Alvarez manually reconfigured the ship's waste disposal system, transforming it into an improvised weapon capable of venting superheated plasma toward pursuing vessels. Meanwhile, Security Officer Chen distributed modified maintenance tools converted into makeshift defensive implements among the crew, ensuring everyone understood how to use them effectively in close-quarters combat. The pirates transmitted their first boarding party coordinates, targeting the aft cargo bay where the quantum crystals were stored. As the enemy vessel matched velocity with theirs, magnetic grapples extended like mechanical tentacles seeking purchase on their hull. The Galactic shuddered under the impact, but the crew's preparations held firm, for now. Each member maintained perfect synchronization, their training merging with instinct as they braced for the inevitable breach. Through the reinforced viewport, the crew observed the pirate boarding party assembling at the airlock interface. 6 heavily armed figures in black combat suits methodically established their entry point, their movements precise and practiced. Thermal imaging revealed advanced weaponry slung across their backs, weapons capable of cutting through standard bulkheads in seconds. Marquez studied their patterns, noting how the leader signaled with subtle hand gestures while 2 others positioned themselves to provide covering fire. The pirates' tactical efficiency spoke volumes about their experience. These weren't mere opportunistic raiders, but professionals who had executed hundreds of successful operations. In the engineering core, Alvarez completed his modifications to the environmental systems, creating zones of extreme temperature fluctuations that could be triggered remotely. The plan was risky, potentially damaging their own ship, but necessary given the circumstances. Above them, Patel guided the Galactic through increasingly narrow passages between asteroids, using the gravitational anomalies to create unpredictable movements that threw off the pirates' aim. The remaining two pirate vessels circled like vultures, waiting for their moment to strike. On the bridge, Mikhailov monitored their progress, noting how one ship maintained a constant skin pattern while the other positioned itself to intercept any escape attempts. The situation demanded perfect timing. Every action had to anticipate the pirates' next move while exploiting their predictable aggression. Chen coordinated the internal defense strategy from the lower decks, establishing multiple fallback positions and setting tripwire alerts throughout the corridors. The tension aboard the Galactic reached a breaking point as the first cutting torch began burning through the outer seal of the cargo bay airlock. Sparks flew inside the chamber as the pirates worked methodically, their breathing audible through compromised sound dampeners. Yet beneath this apparent vulnerability lay layers of preparation, false walls containing hidden defenses, rerouted power conduits ready to electrify surfaces, and carefully placed anti-gravity pods that could send intruders floating helplessly into preset traps. The first wave of attackers breached the airlock in a controlled explosion of decompression gas, their armored boots magnetizing to the deck plating as they swept into the corridor. Instead of encountering resistance, they found themselves facing empty hallways lined with innocuous-looking maintenance panels. Unbeknownst to them, each step triggered silent alarms that fed real-time data to Chen's tactical display. The security officer watched their progression through thermal imaging, noting how they split into two teams according to textbook infiltration protocol. His finger hovered over the control panel, waiting for the precise moment to spring the trap. Meanwhile, in the engineering section, Alvarez initiated the first phase of their counteroffensive. Environmental controls shifted dramatically, flooding certain sections with freezing temperatures while others became unbearably hot. The pirates paused, confused by the sudden climate changes that defied standard shipboard conditions. This momentary hesitation proved costly as Mikhailov remotely activated concealed panels, releasing clouds of conductive nanoparticles that shorted out their weapon systems. From her command position, Marquez coordinated the next sequence of defensive measures. She authorized Patel to execute a series of microjumps using the ship's auxiliary thrusters, creating artificial gravity shifts that sent the disoriented invaders stumbling. The pirates struggled to maintain their footing as the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated wildly, their magnetic boots failing to compensate for the rapid changes. Chen took advantage of their compromised state, activating the prepared electrical charges that ran through the deck plating. Blue arcs of electricity coursed through the metal surfaces, catching several pirates unaware and sending them convulsing to the ground. Their insulated suits provided limited protection against the surge, but the shock was enough to disable their neural interfaces temporarily. The remaining invaders retreated to regroup, their confidence shaken by the unexpected resistance. Yet Marquez knew this was only the beginning. The pirates would adapt quickly, and their next assault would be far more calculated. She ordered the crew to prepare for round two while analyzing the captured sensor data from the initial encounter, searching for weaknesses in their opponent's tactics. As the surviving pirates regrouped in their vessel, their commander reviewed the failure analysis with cold precision. The Galactic's creative defenses had proven more sophisticated than anticipated, suggesting either exceptional improvisation or prior knowledge of their tactics. Through intercepted communications, they identified key vulnerabilities in the freighter's modified systems, particularly the reliance on centralized control for environmental manipulation and the predictable timing of gravity fluctuations. The second assault team assembled with specialized equipment designed to counteract these measures, including gravity stabilizers and thermal regulation suits. Back aboard the Galactic, the crew worked frantically to fortify their positions while implementing new variables into their defense matrix. Mikhailov integrated randomization algorithms into the gravity field generators, making future fluctuations completely unpredictable. Alvarez expanded the network of environmental controls, creating overlapping zones that could shift independently rather than in synchronized patterns. These modifications required sacrificing additional non-essential systems, but the trade-off was necessary to maintain the element of surprise. Marquez monitored the pirate ship's activity through passive sensors, noting increased energy signatures around their weapon systems. The enemy was preparing for a more direct approach, likely planning to overwhelm their defenses through sheer force while maintaining smaller strike teams to exploit any breaches. Patel continued navigating the treacherous asteroid field, but the available cover was diminishing rapidly as they approached the belt's outer edge. The third pirate vessel moved to block their path, effectively boxing them in. Chen organized the crew into mobile response units, each equipped with portable defense modules that could be deployed at strategic points throughout the ship. They established multiple layers of traps, incorporating lessons learned from the first engagement while anticipating the pirates' adaptive strategies. The tension mounted as both sides prepared for the next phase of conflict, knowing that the outcome would likely determine the fate of the Galactic and its valuable cargo. The second wave of attack commenced with devastating precision. The pirates launched a coordinated assault from multiple vectors, utilizing their superior numbers to stretch the Galactic's defenses thin. Their primary strike force targeted the engineering section, attempting to disable the ship's power core while smaller teams probed for weaknesses elsewhere. Marquez watched the tactical display as red icons representing enemy positions multiplied across different decks. The situation threatened to spiral out of control until Alvarez executed his masterstroke, triggering a cascading power surge that temporarily blinded all electronic systems within a 50-meter radius of the engineering bay. The resulting electromagnetic pulse affected both friend and foe, but the crew had prepared for this contingency. Each member carried analog backup systems and manual overrides, allowing them to maintain basic functionality while the pirates struggled with disabled equipment. Mikhailov capitalized on the chaos by reconfiguring the ship's internal bulkheads into a maze-like configuration, forcing the invaders to navigate increasingly complex pathways while exposing them to carefully orchestrated ambush points. Patel maintained their erratic flight pattern through the asteroid field, using gravitational fluctuations to generate unpredictable movements that complicated the pirates' targeting solutions. The third pirate vessel attempted to close the distance, but the navigator's expert handling kept them just beyond effective weapons range while remaining within the protective cover of larger asteroids. Chen coordinated the crew's movements through prearranged signal codes, directing them to concentrate their efforts on isolating and neutralizing smaller enemy groups rather than engaging the main force directly. This strategy paid dividends when they managed to corner one squad in a maintenance shaft, using the confined space to negate the pirates' numerical advantage. The battle evolved into a deadly game of chess, with each side attempting to outmaneuver the other through increasingly sophisticated tactics. The pirates adapted to the changing gravity fields by deploying individual stabilization units, while the crew responded by introducing random intervals of normal gravity that caught the invaders off balance. Every success brought new challenges, forcing both parties to continuously refine their approaches in real time. The prolonged engagement revealed critical insights about the pirates' operational methodology. Their rigid adherence to hierarchical command structures created predictable patterns in their tactical decisions, while their reliance on technologically advanced equipment left them vulnerable to unconventional countermeasures. Marquez recognized these vulnerabilities as opportunities to turn the tide of battle. She directed Mikhailov to develop a virus specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in the pirates' neural interface systems, the same technology that allowed their commander to coordinate attacks with such precision. Meanwhile, Alvarez focused on creating localized electromagnetic fields that could disrupt these connections without affecting the Galactic's own systems. The implementation required surgical precision, as any miscalculation could result in catastrophic feedback loops. Patel's evasive maneuvers grew more daring, pushing the ship's structural integrity to its limits as he navigated through increasingly narrow gaps between asteroids. The stress on the hull manifested in alarming creaks and groans, but the navigator calculated that the risk of minor damage outweighed the certainty of destruction if they remained in open space. The pirate vessels struggled to maintain formation, their larger size and less agile design proving disadvantageous in this environment. Chen refined their internal defense strategy based on emerging patterns in the pirates' behavior. He established kill zones at key junctions, equipping each with multiple layers of defensive measures that could be triggered sequentially. The crew positioned themselves at strategic points throughout the ship, ready to respond instantly to any breakthrough. Their coordination reached a level of seamless integration, with each member anticipating the other's actions through shared understanding rather than explicit communication. The psychological toll of sustained combat began manifesting in subtle ways: increased heart rates, momentary lapses in focus, the creeping doubt that always accompanies prolonged danger. Yet these signs of strain were met with renewed determination, each crew member drawing strength from their shared purpose and the growing realization that they might actually prevail against overwhelming odds. The turning point came when the virus successfully penetrated the pirates' command network. The effect was immediate and devastating. Neural interface systems across all three vessels began malfunctioning, causing severe disorientation among the attackers. Some pirates collapsed, overwhelmed by sensory overload as their augmented reality displays flooded with corrupted data. Others experienced violent muscle spasms as conflicting commands overwhelmed their nervous systems. The carefully orchestrated chain of command fractured into chaos, with subordinates unable to distinguish legitimate orders from system-generated errors. Marquez seized this opportunity to launch a counterattack. She authorized Chen to deploy the ship's reserve of modified repair drones, reprogrammed to swarm and disable pirate equipment. Like mechanical hornets, the drones infiltrated enemy positions, targeting weapons systems and communication devices with surgical precision. Mikhailov monitored the virus's spread, adjusting its parameters to maximize effectiveness while minimizing collateral damage to the Galactian's own systems. The electromagnetic fields maintained by Alvarez created interference patterns that prevented the pirates from rebooting their compromised technology. Outside, Patel executed a series of complex maneuvers that brought the Galactian dangerously close to the largest asteroids, using their mass to generate powerful gravitational waves that disrupted the pirates' formation. The remaining functional pirate ships struggled to maintain position, their crews fighting both their disabled systems and the increasing gravitational stresses. Inside the Galactian, the crew pressed their advantage. They systematically cleared the remaining invaders from their ship, using the confusion caused by the virus to isolate and neutralize small groups. The once coordinated assault had devolved into scattered pockets of resistance, each easily contained and eliminated. Yet even as victory seemed within reach, Marquez remained vigilant. The pirate's commander had yet to appear among the casualties, and experience taught her that true leaders often save their most desperate measures for moments of apparent defeat. The pirate commander emerged from the chaos like a shadow given form, having isolated himself from the compromised network to preserve his mental faculties. His personal suit incorporated older, analog systems that rendered him immune to the digital virus ravaging his crew. Boarding the Galactian alone through a forgotten maintenance hatch, he moved with lethal efficiency, disabling traps and bypassing security measures with practiced ease. Marquez detected the intruder's presence through subtle anomalies and environmental readings, minute pressure changes, barely perceptible temperature fluctuations. She immediately implemented Protocol Omega, a contingency plan developed during their most pessimistic scenario discussions. The entire ship transformed into a death trap specifically designed to contain a single highly skilled opponent. Walls shifted imperceptibly, creating labyrinthine corridors that led back upon themselves. Gravity fields oscillated randomly, preventing the use of stabilizing equipment. Even the air composition changed in localized areas, introducing trace amounts of sedative gases calibrated to affect human physiology without triggering environmental alarms. The commander's progress slowed as he encountered these escalating challenges, each obstacle more sophisticated than the last. Chen coordinated the physical aspects of the trap, positioning crew members at strategic points while maintaining radio silence to avoid detection. The hunter became the hunted as the tables turned decisively against the lone invader. His movements grew more cautious, each step preceded by careful analysis of potential threats. Yet his experience showed in how he adapted to each new challenge, finding innovative ways to circumvent seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The battle of wits intensified as Marquez introduced new variables into the equation, manipulating light levels to create optical illusions, generating phantom heat signatures to misdirect infrared tracking systems, and cycling atmospheric pressure to induce mild discomfort that clouded judgment. The commander's frustration manifested in increasingly aggressive tactics, each attempt to break free from the elaborate prison only tightening the noose further. The pirate commander's desperation reached a critical threshold as he realized the extent of the trap. In a calculated gamble, he activated a portable EMP device, gambling that its effects would disable more of the ship's automated defenses than his own remaining equipment. The electromagnetic pulse rippled through the surrounding area, temporarily disabling many of the traps but also revealing his exact position through distinctive energy signatures. Marquez seized this moment of vulnerability, authorizing the deployment of the crew's final defensive measure, a network of smart fiber cables that could constrict and immobilize targets while delivering targeted electric shocks. The strands deployed from concealed compartments in the walls and ceiling, weaving an intricate web that progressively restricted the commander's movement. Each cable connected to a central control node operated by Mikhailov, who fine-tuned the current intensity to maximize incapacitation without causing permanent harm. The commander fought valiantly against the entangling fibers, his enhanced strength allowing brief bursts of freedom before the adaptive system compensated and tightened its grip. Chen led a carefully choreographed containment operation, guiding the crew to surround the trapped pirate leader while maintaining safe distances. The remaining functional drones joined the effort, their mechanical appendages assisting in restraining the struggling figure. Despite the commander's best efforts, the combination of physical restraints, targeted electrical impulses, and environmental manipulations gradually overwhelmed his resistance. His movements became sluggish, then ceased altogether as the system achieved complete immobilization. Yet even in defeat, the commander demonstrated remarkable resilience, maintaining consciousness despite the overwhelming sensory assault. Marquez approached the captured pirate, observing how his eyes still burned with defiant intelligence. The situation had transformed from active combat to prisoner management, requiring a different set of protocols and considerations. With their leader secured, the remaining pirate forces broadcast unconditional surrender across all communication channels. The two intact vessels maintained position at a respectful distance, their weapon systems powering down in compliance with negotiated terms. Marquez coordinated with Galactic authorities, transmitting evidence of the pirates' crimes while ensuring proper documentation of their capture. The process proved surprisingly straightforward. The Black Nebula Syndicate's extensive criminal record meant few diplomatic formalities needed to be observed. Mikhailov and Alvarez worked together to restore the Galactic systems to normal operating parameters, carefully reversing the various modifications that had protected them during the conflict. Each restored function brought a sense of normalcy back to the ship, but the scars of battle remained visible in scorch marks and hastily repaired panels. Patel maintained their position within the asteroid field until confirmation arrived from Sector Command, verifying that reinforcements were en route to take custody of the prisoners and secure the pirate vessels. During this period, Chen conducted thorough sweeps of the ship, ensuring no hidden threats remained among the debris and damaged equipment left by the invaders. The crew processed their experiences in quiet moments between duties, each member reflecting on how close they had come to disaster. Marquez reviewed the entire engagement through the ship's comprehensive recording systems, identifying lessons learned and areas for improvement in their defensive capabilities. The value of their cargo became secondary to the realization that their quick thinking and teamwork had achieved something remarkable, not just survival, but a decisive victory against one of the galaxy's most feared pirate organizations. Formal commendations would follow, along with requests for detailed reports, but these bureaucratic necessities felt distant compared to the immediate satisfaction of a hard-won triumph. The arrival of Sector Enforcement Division cruisers marked the official end of the crisis. Their sleek forms slid into position around the battered pirate vessels, deploying boarding parties to take formal custody of the surrendered crews. Legal officers began the meticulous process of documenting evidence, securing the captured commander and specially designed restraints that nullified any remaining technological advantages. Marquez coordinated with the enforcement teams, providing access to relevant ship logs while maintaining operational security regarding certain defensive innovations. The debriefing session stretched long into what passed for night in deep space, with each crew member contributing their perspective to the comprehensive report. Technical specialists from the Enforcement Division examined the Galactic's modified systems, expressing genuine interest in how standard components had been repurposed for defensive applications. Mikhailov fielded numerous questions about the virus development process, while Alvarez received particular attention for his environmental control adaptations. These interactions highlighted the broader implications of their improvised solutions, the potential for civilian vessels to mount effective resistance against piracy without requiring military-grade armament. The captured pirate technology proved especially valuable, offering insights into the syndicate's operational methods and technological capabilities. Forensic analysts identified multiple unauthorized modifications that violated interstellar safety regulations, providing additional charges to bolster the prosecution's case. Throughout this process, the Galactic's crew maintained professional detachment, though subtle signs of relief became increasingly evident as the formalities progressed. Meals resumed regular schedules, conversations grew lighter, and the pervasive tension that had gripped the ship began to dissipate. Yet beneath this return to normalcy lay a newfound awareness of their capabilities and the responsibilities that accompanied them. The experience had forged them into something greater than a simple transport crew. They had become exemplars of civilian resistance against organized space piracy. As the enforcement vessels departed with their prisoners, taking custody of the disabled pirate ships as well, the Galactic finally emerged from the asteroid field into open space. The journey back to their original course felt surreal after the intensity of recent events. Patel plotted a revised trajectory that would allow for necessary repairs at a nearby orbital station while maintaining their delivery schedule for the quantum crystals. The cargo hold required extensive work. The attempted breaches had left significant damage that needed addressing before reaching their destination. Mikhailov compiled a comprehensive inventory of system modifications, noting which enhancements warranted permanent integration and which should remain as emergency protocols. The crew gathered in the mess hall for their first proper meal together since the attack, the atmosphere charged with a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Stories of individual contributions circulated, each retelling adding subtle details that painted a fuller picture of their collective achievement. Marquez observed her team with quiet pride, recognizing how their shared ordeal had strengthened bonds and built confidence. Official recognition arrived sooner than expected. Sector Command transmitted formal commendations along with temporary security clearances that would facilitate future cooperation with enforcement agencies. The incident had drawn attention from beyond their immediate jurisdiction, with multiple organizations expressing interest in their defensive innovations. Research divisions requested detailed technical specifications, while insurance underwriters proposed premium reductions for vessels implementing similar security measures. The crew faced decisions about how much of their experience to share publicly and what aspects to keep proprietary. These discussions revealed deeper philosophical questions about the balance between security and transparency in civilian space travel. The aftermath of their encounter rippled through galactic society in unexpected ways. News of the Galaxian's successful defense against the Black Nebula Syndicate spread rapidly through information networks, inspiring similar acts of resistance among civilian operators. Trade routes previously avoided due to pirate activity saw increased traffic as merchants gained confidence in their ability to protect themselves. Insurance premiums for properly equipped vessels dropped significantly, creating economic incentives for widespread adoption of defensive modifications. Marquez received invitations to speak at industry conferences and security summits, her practical experience valued alongside theoretical expertise. The crew found themselves minor celebrities within shipping circles, their names attached to emerging standards for civilian vessel security. Educational institutions incorporated their tactics into training programs, while manufacturers began producing commercial versions of their improvised defenses. Yet fame brought complications, requests for media appearances, unsolicited business proposals, and persistent inquiries about their personal lives. The crew navigated these challenges with the same discipline that had served them during the attack, maintaining professional boundaries while sharing only what would benefit the broader community. Their experience influenced policy changes at the highest levels, with regulatory bodies revising safety requirements to include more robust defensive capabilities. Spaceports and orbital stations began offering standardized upgrade packages based on the Galaxian's innovations, making advanced security measures accessible to smaller operators. The ripple effects extended beyond human territories, with various alien species expressing interest in adapting these technologies for their own vessels. Diplomatic exchanges increased as different civilizations sought to learn from the incident, fostering unprecedented cooperation in matters of space security. Through it all, the Galaxian's crew remained focused on their primary mission, delivering their precious cargo while continuing to refine their defensive capabilities. Months later, as the Galaxian prepared for another routine mission, the transformations wrought by their encounter became evident in every aspect of their operations. The ship's systems now included permanent upgrades inspired by their battlefield innovations, while crew training incorporated new protocols developed from hard-won experience. Marquez stood on the bridge, reviewing their departure checklist with a mixture of pride and vigilance. The stars outside beckoned with their eternal mystery, promising new challenges and adventures. Their story had become legend among spacefarers, proof that determination and ingenuity could overcome overwhelming odds. Yet the crew understood that true security lay not in resting on past victories but in continuous adaptation and improvement. As they set course for the next destination, their sensors scanned the void with renewed purpose, aware that somewhere out there, other threats awaited. The universe remained vast and unpredictable, but they faced it with confidence born of experience. Their journey continued, each mission building upon the last, each challenge met with the wisdom of survivors who had stared into the abyss and returned stronger. Remember, fellow space enthusiasts, the cosmos holds endless possibilities and dangers alike. If you enjoyed this thrilling tale of courage and ingenuity against all odds, don't forget to subscribe for more epic space adventures that will take you beyond the stars.